Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lord33, back here tonight with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Smackdown reviewed results for January 20th, 2022. It's been a while since we've done a Smackdown review. I can't even remember, if I'm being honest. Was the last time we did a Smackdown review was back when Sasha was on the show? That could be, that's no possibility. I don't remember the last time we did a SmackDown review. But, yeah, here we are. First SmackDown review in a long time. First SmackDown review of 2023. And, yeah, well, we are on the road to the Royal Rumble. We are a week away from my favorite pay-per-view of the year. I love Royal Rumble season for so many reasons, mainly because it's the start of the road to WrestleMania. Like I said, look, I love the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's my favorite WWE show of the year. All the surprises, the twists and turns, the unpredictability of the Royal Rumble matches, it's always such a fun time, and I'm very excited for this year's Royal Rumble. The road to WrestleMania 39 begins, Hollywood, and there's so many rumors right now. This time, so many rumors start to swirl about potential matches, the Royal Rumble winners, and it's just a really exciting time to be a WWE fan and a wrestling fan, right? I was actually considering going to the Royal Rumble this year in Houston, but I'm not going, especially since I don't expect Sasha to be returning to WWE for this year's Rumble. Maybe next year we'll see, or, in the future, but I have no plans to go to this year's Rumble, but I'm still excited for the show. I most likely will be doing a Royal Rumble review next Saturday night. One of my friends does want me to go to the Celtics-Lakers game, but the tickets look really, really expensive, and I'd rather just stay home and watch the Rumble. But most likely next Saturday night, I will have a Royal Rumble review right after the show goes off the air, so be on the lookout for that. On the chance that I don't do a Royal Rumble review next Saturday night, I would say be ready for it's Sunday morning on championship weekend for the NFL. So if I don't do a Royal Rumble review next Saturday night, you can expect it sometime Sunday, probably in the afternoon before all the big AFC and NFC title games for the NFL. But yeah, we're gonna talk about SmackDown. And I know with everything, going on with Vince McMahon and his return to the company, at least for now, things look okay. Triple H has been, letting people know that he is still going to be in charge of creative for now, right? We know you never know how things could change with Vince McMahon. But for now, things look all right. So, and last night was a very, very strong SmackDown. Very strong. It did, continue to push the slow decline of Sami Zayn and the bloodline, right? Every single week they're adding a different layer on top of it. And you can tell slowly but surely, at some point, Sami Zayn will split from the bloodline, no matter if the bloodline turns on him or if he turns on the bloodline. That, maybe we see the split actually happen at the Royal Rumble. Maybe it happens after that, like at the Elimination Chamber. But we are expecting the split to happen, and they are pushing that story perfectly. They continued the build, of course, to Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns in their match at the Rumble next week, which was done beautifully, right? Kevin Owens gets some payback on the Bloodline after the Bloodline completely destroyed him last week. And then also, really, the return of tag team wrestling, right? I got to give Triple H credit. Right now, it came out yesterday that basically WWE is considering now the tag team titles as separate. No longer are they being considered unified, even though the Usos have held those unified titles for nearly a year now since they beat RK Bro for the Raw tag team titles earlier this last year. But basically, yeah, the Usos are still the undisputed tag team championships, but WWE is considering them separate. So it looks like it is likely here at some point that the Usos will lose one, if not both, of those tag team titles. I could see that happening at WrestleMania potentially, right? If I'm WWE, I would probably do something like maybe you have the Usos wrestle on both nights, have the Usos lose one set of titles on night one and lose the other set on night two. But like I said, we are still a long ways away till WrestleMania. But WWE is considering the tag team championship separate, and they started this tag team tournament to determine the new number one contenders for the Usos and the SmackDown tag team titles. And the tournament's off to a hot start. There's 8 teams, and here's the thing: when was the last time we saw 8 teams, literally eight legitimate teams on one show? Not just made up teams for a tournament, right? People that were put together that had no chemistry or had never teamed together. 8 legitimate teams that, you can actually say these are real tag teams that have teamed together for some point in time. And it's great to actually see the return of tag team wrestling. Really, the majority of this show was just focused on the tag team tournament. I believe there was 4 matches alone, and all 4 matches were, good. Right, a couple were better than others, but of course, just that focus on tag team wrestling is such a good sight to see, man. And Triple H has always had a love for tag team wrestling from his history, of course, with Evolution and DX, right, and all that good stuff. But of course, NXT, all the famous teams that he built from there, a lot of them, unfortunately, Vince McMahon fucked up once they got to the main roster. But it's really good to see tag team wrestling take a focus once again. And that could also mean good things for Raw's tag team division as well. You've seen Raw's tag team division get better as well, and now you have all these teams on both shows. That makes it really exciting. And then it's actually you could actually foresee it now you can actually see that if they choose to split up the tag team titles, right, have Raw have its own set of titles and SmackDown have its own set of titles, you can really see now that there can be legitimate divisions on both shows again, right? Since 2016, when we had the initial brand split, I complained for years that there's no point in having the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles be separate because there was never enough teams on both sides, right? And even when they were a good amount of teams on both divisions, they weren't booked correctly. You had no care for most of those teams. It was always just the Usos and the New Day for the most part, right? Maybe every once in a while there would be a couple other teams like RK Bro, that would come in and actually, be a legitimate team. But for the most part, it was always just really the Usos and the New Day, right? And other teams like RK Bro and the Street Profits, et cetera, et cetera. But now you have legitimate tag team divisions on both show again. That now, if you choose to split those tag team titles up, you can have, 2 sets of titles on each show, right? And that's a good thing because, of course, there's so much talent on Raw and SmackDown that it's hard. It can be hard when booking titles because there's so much talent. The Usos are so good. They've been the tag team champions now for nearly 2 years, right? They're so good, but there's so many other teams. But because of the bloodline story and, everything being focused, with that being the focus of everything in the company, that, you couldn't reward other teams for tag team championship reigns because everything was about the Usos and how that story factored in with Roman Reigns and the bloodline narrative, right? Like I could say the Street Profits should have won the tag team titles at least 2 more times since in the last year and a half, but they couldn't because of the Usos holding both titles. And, you can go on and on. But now if you're, now that you're actually building up the divisions on both shows, I have no problem with you splitting up the titles once again, right? Which, I think is an actual good thing. But like I said, I'll say this, I think it's very likely that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, eventually once, Sami is no longer in the bloodline, right? KO and Sami will become a team again, and they will probably take on the Usos for one of those tag team title belts at Mania, right? I would probably say it's more likely to be the Raw tag team titles, but at this point, you don't know. I could legitimately forget what show Kevin Owens is on. and Sami Zayn, because they're both on Raw and SmackDown every single week. So I don't know, which tag team titles you would have them challenge for, but still, we'll just have to wait and see, because you can make an argument that the Banger Bros with Drew and Sheamus, that they should be the tag team champions. You can make an argument for the Street Profits. You can make an argument for, KO and Sammy. You can make an argument for a bunch of teams, and that's good. It's that good that you have a lot of legitimate teams that you can see being tag team champions. But, determining where you go with these stories, I don't know if there's like a concrete way to go about it, but it is very exciting, though. Very, very exciting to see, all this competition in the tag team division, and having an actual focus and an actual excitement for tag team wrestling. That's something that's really cool, and I'm just glad that we're getting that now, right? But all in all, SmackDown was pretty good last night. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna try to keep the review for SmackDown a little bit short. There is, just a couple other stories I do want to talk about very quickly here. I don't want this to be a super long podcast, but for the most part, this should be a pretty quick, because we're just gonna go over the matches. For the most part, because this was a very good wrestling show. There was a lot of good wrestling, but there was also some good storytelling to go along with it as well. So let's get into it. All right, the show opened up with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, aka the Banger Bros, versus the Viking Raiders. And this was, a first round match in the SmackDown Tag Team Title Contenders Tournament. And of course, this was very heavy hitting, right? You have the, Sheamus and Drew and, Eric and Rowan, 4 very hard hitting individuals. You knew that this was going to be a really good fight. And that's exactly what it was. Ooh. And I found out Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. We don't know if he's going to be coming back in that game, but he has the same injury that I do. I've been dealing with a bad ankle sprain from basketball for the last couple of weeks. But I'm recording this as the AFC divisional game is going on. What was I saying? So yeah, like I said, this was a very this was very, very hard hitting from the front. Like I said, I don't really have too much to say about these matches, because they were all pretty good. There wasn't like anything too crazy from a storytelling perspective. When you have a tag team tournament match, it's really just about the in-ring action, right? The in-ring action tells the story itself. In 4 individuals going at it for a tag team title shot. That's what it was. Very hard hitting, both people going at each other, right? The Viking Raiders, dominated the middle part of the match, of course, and then the baby faces, come back at the end, and they got the win over Eric and Ivar. You could make an argument that you could have done this match later on in the tournament, but still. No matter what round of the tournament you would have done this match, it would have been a banger, right? Eric and I are heels, for the most part, and they have been built up, decently. And you could say that they could have done this a little bit earlier, or a little bit later, instead of, having the Viking Raiders eliminated in the first round. But still, it's Drew and Sheamus. It was pretty obvious that they were going to win this match. Some would argue that Drew and Sheamus are probably the favorites to win the whole tournament, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, very good match to start the show. I also want to say, good job from Michael Cole. Michael Cole did start off the show by sending condolences to the family of Jay Briscoe. Remember, Jay Briscoe, unfortunately passed away this week in a car crash. His whole family was involved, right? I know his wife basically was giving updates, because I know their daughter was in the hospital. So prayers go out to that family. They're going through a really, really rough time right now. And definitely all prayers and condolences to the Briscoe family. And, hug your loved ones, really, because you never know when your time may come. Nothing's guaranteed in life. Anyway, moving on. We had LA Knight in action. And I know I don't do many SmackDown reviews. I am a huge LA Knight stan. This guy has almost everything. I know he's a little bit older, right? I think he's in his late 30s, like 38. But LA Knight, I want to see LA Knight get a big push this year, really. Uh, I know he was when they took him out of what was it, Maximum Male Models, and he became LA Knight again. He was babyface for a couple weeks, but then they turned him into a heel. He's great either way, babyface or heel. He's great, but he has been fantastic in these last couple of months in this feud with Bray Wyatt. I know everyone wants to focus on Bray Wyatt, right? And I love Bray Wyatt. He's one of my favorites, but LA Knight, I think, is really, really underrated. The guy on the mic is so good, so charismatic. His catchphrase always hit. Like, some people, when they hit their catchphrases, it's just you hear it all the time. But when LA Knight says, and that's just a fact of life, yeah, let me talk to you. Like, I love LA Knight, man. Definitely I do want to see LA Knight get a push this year. Maybe an IC title reign at some point. I know Gunther's killing it, but I would have no problem if you want to turn LA Knight babyface and then have him beat Gunther. I love LA Knight. This guy is great, and he has been fantastic in this feud with Bray Wyatt. I don't know if you guys seen those, like the Mountain Dew Pitch Black commercials they had been having Bray and LA Knight do on social media, but the promos that LA Knight cuts in these commercials are fantastic, and he got another great one today. So basically before, and I'll pull up the clip for you guys, but basically before LA Knight was going up against a local jobber, he cut a promo basically just going over how he, what he plans to do about Bray Wyatt. But then we saw the return of the Firefly Funhouse, which is really, really cool. Got a huge pop, and then we see all of Bray Wyatt, all the friends from the Funhouse, Ribbity Rabbit, all of them, the pig, that was really, really cool. And I like that. I like that Bray Wyatt's mixing some of his old personas here, right? Sometimes you may get normal Bray Wyatt, like we've been getting the last couple of months. You never know. You may get Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt, like he teased last week. Then you might get the Fiend. You might get Uncle Howdy, even though we don't know if Bray's actually Uncle Howdy or if that's just Bo Dallas or somebody else. But I like how Bray can mix in these different personas. It gives me that Mick Foley vibe, right? With Mick Foley in the Attitude Era, you never knew if it was going to be Mick Foley or if it was going to be Cactus Jack or Dude Love or Mankind. You never knew, right? We all remember the Royal Rumble where Mick Foley came out 3 times as all 3 of his different personas. He got eliminated all 3 times, but it was such a cool moment, Seeing that with Bray Wyatt, seeing that him mix and match with these different personas, it's really, really cool. And I know there was a report going around I saw this on Bleacher Report the other day, that there's some top people that don't want to work with Bray Wyatt, not because what was the word? Not because they don't like Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is very well liked in WWE. The reason why, some people are hesitant to work with Bray Wyatt is because of his character, right? They're not a big fan of all the creative elements, because we've seen what, the Fiend, has done to, Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins, right? Seth Rollins had to turn heel and basically reinvent himself after the feud with the Fiend. He was literally never the same again. He had to change the complete creative direction of his character. When you go with a supernatural character like that, you got to be careful, especially when it's the top star. You got to be very careful how you go about those storylines. That's something that, people had to deal with The Undertaker. Yes, The Undertaker is arguably the greatest WWE superstar of all time. But, with his character, especially when he was like the Phenom, when you do stories with The Undertaker against anybody, you got to be careful. Because you got to be, protective of the supernatural element of that character and what makes it special. But you also got to protect the top guy that they're going up against, So I could see that why people might hesitant be hesitant to feud with Bray Wyatt. And this LA Knight feud has been going on for, 3 months? It's been going on for a very long time. But still, I enjoyed it, for the most part. I think, LA Knight and Bray Wyatt did a great job. I'm going to pull up the clip here in just a sec from YouTube. But, let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think of LA Knight in this feud? And, I hope it does end at the Royal Rumble because it has been going on for a while, but I'm still enjoying it for the most part. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up here.
Purdue University Global. Apply now at purdueglobal.edu.
Here we go. Oh no, we got another ad. My bad. All right, here we go.
What that means is I'm the guy at Royal Rumble who's gonna make you think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have come back. Maybe I should have stayed away. After all, it is LA Knight's game.
I love his intensity.
Because while you've been living check to check on past glory, walk on into the LA Knight Bank and find out those checks ain't worth trash. Because whether it's pitch black, whether it's broad daylight, at Royal Rumble, I will off your on switch just like that. And that's not an insult.
That's
just
a fact of life. Yeah. Shut up.
Well, good luck, Ray.
I love that. He's just like, yeah, shut up. Even though when he says yeah, it just makes you want to say it back. But he's a heel. He's like, stop. So it's simple. LA Knight is quick. He's to the point, but he's charismatic. I love it. That's just a fact of life. Like that punchline right there. That is so good. That is so good. It's like when Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you're or DX, if you're not down with that, like we got 2 words for you. If you can smell what the Rock is cooking, right? Cena, if you want some, come get some. Your time is up. My time is now. I like what was the one that Stone Cold always said? And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. That's why when I hear LA Knight say that, I get hyped every single time. That's just a fact of life, Jack. Like, that's such a cool punchline. Such a cool punchline. The way he says it with the intensity and the charisma, man, is great. It's great. But let me stop marking out real quick.
Jones, the opponent.
But yeah, he would go up against he would go up against a jobber here. This match only lasted about a minute, but the lights kept flashing in and out. So LA Knight made sure to end the match quickly here, because he, make sure he wouldn't get attacked by Bray Wyatt again. And then here we go, the return of the Firefly Funhouse. And then you can see how the crowd are reacted. And then you see the fun of like all of the old characters. They're covered in sawdust, because it's been a while. And then you see Bray Wyatt. He's like fixing the door, fixing things around, trying to bring the funhouse back to life. You can even see like his jeans and his boxers are down, and they had to put the logo to cover his ass crack. Cool stuff. Yowie wowie.
Pardon the dust.
Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt is back.
We're working on that. But I have seriously missed you so much. And I cannot wait to have lots of fun here with my friends once again.
Hey, dude, let me talk to you.
Super cool. Can we invite him to the funhouse, be our friend? Shut Dude, man, I'm really worried about that pitch black match at the Rumble. Hey, dude, LA Knight's cool with me, man. He's kind of like the Miz, but with muscles.
The Miz with muscles.
I'm scared of the
That is
dark.
kind of cool. He does You know, LA Knight does have kind of like that Miz, you know, very, very good talker on the mic. Has a little bit of swag with the way he dresses, you know, and wearing like the shades indoor, you know. And yeah, he is a lot more muscular than the Miz. They wear similar ring gear, tights and boots. But yeah, LA Knight might just be just a Miz with muscles in a way. I've never been a big Miz guy. I always respect him.
You know, I was thinking to myself, like, what kind of deranged Woodstock damaged ding dong names their son Los Angeles Knight? I mean, he never had a chance. Let me holler at you, player.
Let me holler at you, bro.
It's actually normal that you're afraid of the dark, you know? Because in the dark, that's where things like to hide under your bed and come out when you're sleeping. Things that want to eat you. Now that I think about it, you should be scared of the dark.
I'll get a little Uncle Howdy.
Told you so. Told you. I told you so. I told you so. Told you so. All you needed was a little push. I hope your son is fine. I hope you understand. You are the one that opened the door. And now, whatever comes through it is your problem. See you at the Royal Rumble. Bye!
There you go. We all remember that, right? There will always be, no matter how much fun Bray Wyatt was having the fun house, at the end he would always get serious for a sec, right? And send like a warning to his opponent. And there you get it. There you get it. He sends a warning to LA Knight that, you open up this door. Now you got to deal with the consequences. And then he goes, right, bye-bye, see you later. It is really cool to have Bray Wyatt back. I like that. I like that a lot. I love Bray Wyatt. I love LA Knight. I've really enjoyed it. This hasn't been a crazy feud or anything. But still a nice little 3-month story where they're always trying to get the one up on one another. I just really hope that the pitch black match delivers at the Rumble. That's really what I hope. And what I've heard, they're gonna have some different scary elements. I have no idea what to expect from the match. But knowing Bray Wyatt and his creativity, right, I think they could make it fun, and I hope it's fun. If the Firefly Funhouse match with Cena was as good, that's one of my favorite matches ever. I think the Pitch Black match can be a lot of fun, and definitely I can't wait to see what they do with it. And we just got one more week to the Rumble, and then we could see what they got for us. But yeah, good stuff. Moving on, we had Hit Row versus Los Lotharos, and I always say their name incorrectly, in the first one match for the SmackDown Tag Team Title Tournament, right? This was another good one. This one wasn't as good as McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Viking Raiders, but still, it got the job done. Basically, the Lotharos were basically the babyfaces here, right? Because Hit Row, they just turned heel here about a couple weeks ago. So Los Lotharos played the babyface role, even though they've mainly been heels for most of their time on the main roster. But we saw B-Fab interfered, and then he that allowed Ashante to get a roll up on Angel, and Top Dollar prevented Humberto from making the save. So Hit Row advanced. So next week they'll be going up against Sheamus and McIntyre, which that should be a good match. I would say right now I would expect probably Sheamus and Drew to get the win there. but still, I still expect it to be a fun match. But yeah, still. Moving on. This was probably the one negative of the show for me. We had Charlotte cut an in-ring promo, and I know I never really went into depth about my thoughts about Charlotte's return, but you guys know I've never been a Charlotte fan. I never will be a Charlotte fan. All right, I have a small layer of respect for what she's done, but still. Anyway, look, based on what I heard, WWE doesn't have any plans for Ronda Rousey to be at the Rumble, which is kind of surprising, right? But maybe they finally have figured out what I said. I've been saying this for years, or I haven't been saying. I've kind of realized it. Ronda Rousey's overrated. She was a huge draw when she first came, right? Superstar of her caliber, making the transition from UFC to WWE. And that 1 year, she was great. She was great. But for the most part, most of that year, she was going up against the 4 horsewomen. She was going up against Becky, Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. And of course, when you're going up against those individuals, the best women's wrestlers in the world for the most part, you're gonna look good. And, Ronda's proven ever since she came back that she just hasn't been the same. She just isn't the same draw that she was during that first year. And she's just not as good. She didn't put anybody over, really, outside of maybe Liv Morgan for the short run. And then she lost a Liv. She killed Liv's momentum by beating her a couple months ago. And she's done nothing with that title since. She didn't do anything with Shotzi Blackheart. She didn't do anything with Raquel Gonzalez. She did nothing. And that's why, love it or hate Charlotte, people were excited to see her back and beat Ronda Rousey. Because at that point, the way Ronda's title reign was going, and it was doing nothing for the SmackDown Women's division, bringing Charlotte back, bringing anybody back was better than having Ronda as champion, really. But let's be honest, we're back. Here we are 3 weeks later. Charlotte isn't that much better. I've always said that Charlotte is overrated. You guys know this about me. If you listen to this podcast for any amount of time, you know my thoughts on Charlotte. And literally, what has Charlotte done these last 3 weeks? I know they have her in this feud with Sonya Deville, and I like Sonya Deville. I'm glad that she's getting, some spotlight here. We all know Sonya's not going to take the title from Charlotte, but it's good to see her get a little bit of spotlight. But Charlotte isn't doing anything. You guys know me. Charlotte's always been a way better heel than a babyface. Charlotte as a babyface is cringe. And that's literally what it is every time I see her on the mic. She is so cringe. Literally, she's talking about, oh, Detroit, do you want to see me fight Sonya Deville? All that. Literally, if you guys remember, go back a couple years ago to 2018, 2019 SmackDown when Charlotte was a babyface. I think Charlotte won the SmackDown Women's title 5 times in the span of a year and a half on SmackDown during that time, right? There is no difference between Charlotte then and Charlotte now. The only thing is but her physical appearance, right? She's gotten a lot more, a lot skinnier, and of course, she does, she got a breast job, and there's nothing different. If you remember who Charlotte was feuding with, back then, there was no, there's no difference. When Charlotte was facing, heels like Ruby Riott and Natalya, there is no difference. There's no difference between Charlotte then and her feuding with Sonya Deville now. It's the same character, and it's boring. It's, legitimately boring. Yeah, I'm sitting there just ugh. This accomplished nothing. Sonya came out and basically was demanding another SmackDown, Women's Championship match, even though we all know that Sonya wouldn't win. We just saw Sonya get a SmackDown Women's title match 2 weeks ago where she lost, and then she attacked Charlotte backstage last week, and now this week she came out demanding another, match. Charlotte said, you're a star, you're capable, but what makes you think you're better than anybody else in that locker room, right? And, I have no interest in seeing Charlotte, be the champion that wants to give opportunity to the younger woman star and then, elevate them. Because Charlotte, how many people has Charlotte elevated throughout her career? Not many. Not many. The most thing that Charlotte has done, really, is only elevating people for a short amount of time, right? Like when she elevated Nikki Cross with a Money in the Bank cash-in, and when she elevated Carmella with a Money in the Bank cash-in, right? But for the most part, Charlotte's never truly elevated anybody. She's only really just elevated herself. Yeah, and it literally, and for most of the people that she lets beat her for the title, she ends up beating them back to regain the title just a couple weeks later. As Sasha, as Carmella, as Asuka, as Becky Lynch. The list goes on and on and on. So it's really not, she doesn't really elevate anybody. She doesn't. She just elevates herself. So I have no interest in sitting here and see Charlotte be champion and go up against the young people in the division. She doesn't do anything for them. She doesn't elevate people. You want someone that does that? That's Sasha. That's Mercedes Moné. You make Mercedes champion, she will elevate people. Even though she's not there anymore, but that's what Sasha does. Charlotte's never been able to do that. And she probably never will. So I have no interest in that at all. I know a lot of you guys are happy that she's champion because it's someone other than Rousey. But if we're being honest, Charlotte doesn't elevate anybody. She doesn't. She's not that much better than Ronda. So sorry, it's a lose-lose to me. I have zero care for the Sonya Deville feud, even though I like Sonya. But we all know Sonya's not winning the title. This is not going anywhere. Charlotte's out here talking about what makes you think that you're better than the other woman out, in that division that deserve an opportunity. Right? You want an opportunity? I gave you one 2 weeks ago and you lost. If you want another opportunity, go win the Women's Royal Rumble. Stop trying to take shortcuts. But still, I'll fight you tonight, but I won't put my title on the line. But then Sonya, refused to do it. She said she would only fight Charlotte if the title was on the line, even though we all know she would just lose again. Adam Pearce then would come out and say, we're not doing this, and then Sonya would blindside Charlotte, and that was the end of the segment. Pretty pointless if you ask me, right? I don't really have a care. I don't really have a care to see where this goes. Because Charlotte's not losing that title, right? I know right now, I don't know the plan is to do Ronda and Charlotte again at Mania, or if they're going to go with Rhea Ripley, right? Because that is what they could do. But I don't have too much of a care for any of this right now. Honestly, I would love to see either Rhea Ripley or Liv Morgan be the one to take the title off Charlotte. But, we'll just have to wait and see. But that's just my stance on the matter. Either way, but yeah, waste of a segment, waste of our time, really. Anyway, moving on. We went to another SmackDown Tag Team Title Tournament match. The Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, right? And this has been kind of a continuation of a feud that's been going on for months. Remember, this started way back when Sheamus and Walter had their match of the year at, I forget which pay-per-view it was, Clash of the Kingdom, right? And now these two teams are going at it for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, or at least to be the number one contenders. And this was another, good match, right? These two teams have very good chemistry with one another. So, for the most part, Holland and Butch had the heels reeling later in the match. Because of course, for the most part, classic tag team title match. Babyface have to fight themselves out of the hole after being dominated by the heels for the majority. But then the heels were already late. Vinci laid out Butch before joining Caster for an Imperium Bomb for the win. I will say just, the Butch and Holland were getting a pretty good push. Remember, especially because they were aligned with Sheamus. Especially remember War Games, and they did have a couple SmackDown Tag Team Championship matches. But it does seem that they're getting a little bit. It does seem that they're getting a little bit of a backseat now, especially since Sheamus is more, focused on teaming with Drew. They haven't split up the Brawling Brutes, but he is teaming a lot more with Drew. So it seemed like the Brawling Brutes have, got a little bit of less of a focus, but it is what it is for the most part. Still, they're always going to be in that SmackDown Tag Team Championship conversation, and they're always going to be a team to watch out for. So that's just it. But still, it makes sense. It seems like they're setting this up where it's most likely going to be Sheamus and Drew versus one of the heel teams. That's where this is going. We saw a lot of heel wins tonight, so it seems like that's what they're setting up: Sheamus and Drew to go up against heels in the finals of the tournament before getting into the Usos. But yeah, that was that. But anyway, Imperium wins, and they would face the winner of the next match. So in our fourth and final tag team championship match of the night, we got Legado del Fantasma versus the Maximum Male Models. I love this group just because I love Zelina Vega and what's his name? Starts with the S. The long hair, the leader of the group. But this match was all right. Like I said, there was ups and downs. Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes was really good. Drew and Sheamus versus the Viking Raiders was really good, right? Los Lados versus Hit Row was, it wasn't anything special, and this match wasn't anything special, right? And that was it. You got a mix of really good tag team action to very mid tag team action, but you also got to remember it's a 2-hour show as well, right? They got other things to focus on. The fact that we got 4 tag team title matches tonight for this tournament. When was the last time you saw a SmackDown? When was the last time you saw a show with that many tag team matches? It was great that it got a lot of focus on tonight's show, and it made it much more enjoyable. But anyway, we saw Mason Mansoor. They came to they've been off SmackDown for a couple weeks now. They had Maxine Dupree, and a lot of you guys, man, are sipping over her on social media. It's kind of crazy. People are in love with this woman. But we had Zelina Vega on. She was on commentary, which is always great. Love Zelina Vega. And then Del Toro and Wide, for the most part, they dominated this match for the most part. And they next week they got Imperium, so we got heel versus heel next week. Imperium versus Legado del Fantasma, and that should be really good. That match could honestly go either way. If I had to pick who would win that match, it's probably I would go with Legado del Fantasma, but like I said, you can go either way with both these teams. I know there was a video on YouTube. Basically, they talked about how Legado del Fantasma, they're going to win the SmackDown Tag Team Title Tournament. Zelina Vega will win the Women's Royal Rumble, and their leader is going to win the Men's Royal Rumble. That would be cool, but I don't think it's going to happen at all. But still. But yeah, Legado del Fantasma will probably be the babyfaces next week as well. We'll just have to wait and see how it all goes. But yeah, that was that. So next week we have Hit Row versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and in the quarterfinals, and we also have Legado del Fantasma versus Imperium. So what should be 2 very good tag team matches next week. Hopefully they give both teams enough time, and they should. They should. That should be the focus of next week's show, along with the go-home build for the Royal Rumble. Last but not least, we got to put the focus on Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn as things continue to build towards the undisputed Universal title clash at the Royal Rumble, right, between Roman Reigns and KO. And a lot of people have been talking. There's been a lot of talk in the community about what's going to happen with WrestleMania, right? We've heard the rumors about them potentially splitting up the world titles again, right? Just like now they're splitting up the tag team titles. Will they do the same thing with the WWE and the Universal Championships? I've been on the record that they should be doing this. I was never really for them merging the titles, but it was whatever. Now it looks like they are going to do it. But the confusion comes in line is, will The Rock show up on next week's SmackDown or on Raw, right? Raw 30th, the 30th anniversary of Raw is this Monday. I will be doing a Monday Night Raw review, confirmed. Tell your friends. I am planning to do a Monday Night Raw review for that show. It's because it's going to be a long show because we're going to have legends, right? Triple H, Undertaker, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. Tons of legends are confirmed for the show as they're going to make it a big deal because it is Raw's 30th anniversary, right? Plus, it is the go-home Raw for the Royal Rumble, so it should be a big show. They were planning, before I click record, I saw the tweet, WWE was planning on doing a acknowledgement of Roman Reigns where all three generations of Roman Reigns' family, Rikishi and all of them were going to be present for the show, but instead it looks like they're rebranding it to the Trial of Roman Reigns, or the Trial of Sami Zayn, which should be very, very interesting. I think for the most part, I'll come out and say it, the big thing for that segment before was they were hoping The Rock was going to be there, right? Or at least they were going to tease The Rock, maybe potentially being there to tease a match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Now we're hearing rumors that Reigns may not be available for WrestleMania just because, or The Rock may not be available for WrestleMania because the rumors going around that he may not be able to get in ring shape in time. Here's the thing, Rock is always in shape. You guys see his Instagram. He's working out every day. The guy's literally the definition of ripped. Like, the guy is crazy ripped, but maybe he needs to get into a specific shape to have a match, like maybe that's what it is. Maybe he has to get his cardio back up or whatever. But if you're not gonna have that match, right? If The Rock's not gonna be ready for WrestleMania, that does cause trouble. The reason why that causes trouble is The Rock should have known, though. We've known, this is a match that's been teased for how many years now? And that's what's disappointing about it, is that this is a match people have been predicting for 2-3 years now. They've always highlighted how Hollywood would be the place where the match would take place. The Rock being Hollywood's, biggest star, right? Roman being, WWE's top guy now, right? A legitimate dream match that people have been wanting for 5-6 years. With The Rock and, at the height of his superstardom and being the legend that he is, and The Rock, or Roman Reigns being in his prime and, the most over that he might ever be. Like, this is the time to do it. You can't tell me that The Rock didn't know. They've been teasing this on, The Rock show, Young Rock. He's teasing in interviews. They've been talking about this for years. So it's a little bit disappointing that, now we're hearing that, The Rock might not be able to get in shape in time or whatever. Like, I just find that disappointing. I find that disappointing. We'll have to wait and see what happened, because this could just, be all a tease. This could be something that they do later on. Maybe The Rock's just fooling us. They just want to make you believe. But with each passing day, the less likely I think it's not going to happen. If we don't see The Raw, or if we don't see The Rock on the 30th, I just dropped my PS5. If we don't see The Rock on the 30th anniversary of Raw, or if we don't see him by Royal Rumble time, I don't think the match is happening, and they're just gonna go with their backup. They've had a backup this whole time, which we all know is most likely either Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins, but still, so it's just a little bit disappointing. But still, like I said, I have no problem with the backup. The backup should be great, but we all want the dream match. We all want the dream match, especially with The Rock getting older now. The Rock's now, what, 50? You got to start thinking. Is the match going to happen? If you don't do it now, years keep going on, people get older, they might be less likely to do the match. So I would do the match if you're able to do it. But anyway, it is what it is. But the big thing is, last week we saw on SmackDown that Sami Zayn Even though he had Kevin Owens beat, right? We saw the Bloodline interfere, and they absolutely destroyed Kevin Owens, and they didn't know where they wanted to go, right? And Sami Zayn was very, very hesitant to, join in on the attack on Kevin Owens, right? And that carried over into this week's show. When Roman came into the arena, he acknowledged the rest of the Bloodline, but he didn't acknowledge Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn tried to give him a fist bump, and Reigns just ignored him. Then later on in the show, Reigns asked Sami Zayn to come in and tell him what was on his mind. Zayn was hesitant at first, but then he eventually said that he felt a little bit slighted, not knowing that the Usos were gonna go attack KO, right? And then Roman got annoyed that because basically he thought, why I'm the tribal chief? Why do I have to tell you anything? He basically told Sami Zayn to get out. And Paul Heyman's expressions in the background were so good, right? And it's not like Sami said anything critical. This is just Roman Reigns letting his temper get to him, and of course, him being the tribal chief, he thinks that anything he does shouldn't be questioned. It doesn't matter if it's the bloodline or not. You don't question the tribal chief and his decision making. So he was very annoyed with Sami and told him to get out. Even told Sami, go find KO, right? Stop. Go find your old bloodline. Stop, leeching off me and mine. So you can see that's the big line, right? Stop, leeching off me, mine. So even though Roman has said in the past, like, Sami's a part of this family, right? He's the honorary Uso and all this good stuff, still, Sami, no matter how much you want to believe it, Sami Zayn will never be blood. He's never actually part of that family. As much as he wants to be a part of it, as much as they may consider him a part of the bloodline, he's not part of the bloodline. He's not. He doesn't share the blood of Roman and his cousins and Solo. So that's the key line here, and that will be the line going forward to watch out for. Eventually, at some point, when Sami's no longer in the bloodline, that's gonna come back, right? Because Sami, no matter what he did, he was never fully part of the bloodline, never fully accepted. There was always going to be that barrier of him not being actual blood with Roman and his cousins. But still, later on, Roman would then invite Sami back into the office and then apologize for letting his temper get to him, right? Mainly blaming this more on KO because, the big thing is Roman's been so annoyed with KO and he just wants him out of his life. Like, God, he's tired of having to face him, tired of dealing with him. And he's letting his anger for KO cause this rift between him and Sami. And especially Sami, and his relationship with KO has something to do with it as well. But still, that would lead into the contract signing, right? And then I could tell exactly what was going to happen right away because when Roman came out, there was only about less than 10 minutes left in the show, and Roman did his full entrance, right, which always takes about 4 or 5 minutes. So I was like, all right, they're not going to do like a sit down, 10-minute promo segment like they usually do for contract signings. You could tell that this is probably going to be straight to the point, right? Probably some kind of brawl. And KO didn't even come out by his music. He attacked Roman from behind. He attacked Solo, and then the Usos came running down and he attacked them. Then he put Roman through a table with the pop-up powerbomb. Sami came running down. And that was the end of the show. KO left through the crowd as, the rest of the bloodline recovered from the blindside attack, which was great, right? KO gets payback for last week. Of course, you had to make KO look strong because he got completely destroyed by the bloodline last week. So you had to come back and make him look strong. But you also got to remember here, the match, at Royal Rumble, there's no stipulation. There's no special stipulation, so the bloodline could still get involved. So KO could still be in just as much trouble as he's been with in the past. Because remember, you go all the way back to the Thunderdome, and when he was facing Roman, Jey Uso would always get involved. And the same thing could still happen here. There's no steel cage or Hell in a Cell or anything like that to keep the bloodline out. They could still get involved. And, I expect something to happen with Sami Zayn, that will cause KO to lose, but it also might, create a bigger rift with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, So there's so many different possibilities of where this can go. But it was good. They made KO look strong, right, after getting attacked last week. They continued the twists and turns of Sami Zayn's relationship with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns. And now next Monday on Raw, we're going to get the trial of Sami Zayn, which should be very, very fun, right? Remember, Roman did tell Sami, right, get the Usos, get the jet ready, get the car ready, right, so we can leave right after the contract signing. So Sami was just doing what he was told, but after KO's sneak attack, right, where does that leave Sami with the Bloodline? Because Sami wasn't the reason why KO attacked. Roman specifically told Sami, hey, get the Usos, get everything ready so we can leave. I'll head to the ring with Solo and we'll handle our business. But KO was still able to get the jump on the Bloodline here. So what does that mean for Sami on Monday? So the trial of Sami Zayn, that should be a very, very fun segment and a very interesting segment as well. But I'm going to play the clip here right before the end of the podcast.
Okay, this is going to sound a little nuts, but the fastest and easiest way to make
Now we're doing with ads.
passive online income on Amazon is to never sell physical products.
Can't stand these ads. So this is just basically a recap of everything I told you. So now you just get to listen to it. I love Roman's sneaker game. Sami Zayn's dapping everybody up.
Tribal Chief.
Roman Reigns is here to sign the contract with Kevin Owens for the massive championship.
I love Sami's face after Roman ignores him.
Tribal Chief. Tribal Chief.
Roman Reigns is here to sign the contract with
Sami's face is just hilarious. Like, what the fuck? What?
Tribal Chief.
Roman Reigns is here to sign the contract with Kevin Owens for their massive championship match at the Royal Rumble.
Hey, money. I'm sorry to interrupt. Roman, do you have a quick second to talk?
Sit.
Sit. Sit, dog.
Okay, well, look, I know tonight's a big night for the Bloodline, and it's supposed to be a great night. I couldn't help but notice that the greeting in the parking lot felt a little, frosty. I just want to make sure everything's cool, because, right, everything's cool?
Sami, I saw how you looked last week, and I know you're trying to cover up everything tonight, so why don't you just give it to me straight? Tell the truth. What's going on?
Everything's fine, really.
No. Tell me the truth.
Okay, well, look, if I'm being honest, yeah, I was a little disappointed last week. I felt a big privilege that you put me in this position to be able to take care of this Kevin Owens problem, and I take a lot of pride in that, and being able to carry my weight for this family. And I was just about to put him away.
Even though he's never fit, he's not actually family, right? He's part of the Bloodline, but he'll never be family the way that he wants to be.
Look, I just didn't know the Usos were going to be coming out there. I didn't know the plan. So yeah, I felt a little, I don't know, slighted. Kevin Owens keeps saying how I'm being used, and I don't know, for a split second.
And you can see Roman's face, like he was listening to Sami there, with the second he heard Sami Zayn bring up, Kevin Owens, and how Kevin Owens keeps saying that he's being used. You can see the face on Roman Reigns change, and you can see the face on Paul Heyman change. So you can see, and that got Roman pissed.
So yeah, I felt a little, I don't know, slighted. Kevin Owens keeps saying how I'm being used. I love Heyman just
puts his head in his hand. It's like, damn it, Sami, I like you, but you're saying the wrong thing here.
It's all fine.
Get out.
Get out.
What?
I'm not gonna do this every single week. I don't want to hear
And
this.
Look at Paul Heyman's just like, oh no, like
out.
I don't like him when he's angry, you know?
It blows my mind. The tribal chief has got to run his game plan by the honorarios. When did this start? When do I have to ask you?
Paul
to
Heyman
hear
in the
approval?
background.
Just get out. Why don't you go find Kevin? Why don't you go find your own bloodline or something? Stop using me and my... Just go. Just get out of here, man. Wise man.
It's my tribal chief.
And Roman's just like, Wiseman, like, get him out of here.
It's a big wooden rectangular thing right there. Just...
He was like, just go. You know, it's not a good time. Very, very good stuff.
Can you believe this guy? This guy? Can you believe this guy?
And then now Paul Heyman gives some actual special counsel to the tribal chief. Roman letting his emotions kind of get the best of him there.
My tribal chief. I've never liked Shmuley since day one. But I support your visions for the island of relevancy. And I try to look at things from the perspective of a special counsel and indeed, my tribal chief, as your wise man, and as your wise man, just perhaps, if you could take into your ruthless consideration, isn't it better, as we're about to sign a contract, to defend the title against Kevin Owens of all people, that when it comes to Sami Zayn, my tribal chief, maybe it's better to have him in the castle, pissing out, than out of the castle, pissing in.
So basically, Heyman just saying, you know, no matter what, right? No matter if you like Sami or not, but especially with Kevin Owens, it's probably better to have Sami on our side than not. If you don't have Sami Zayn in the bloodline, especially when you're going up against KO, that could come back to bite you in the butt. So it's another layer of this story. You know, basically, Heyman said it here. Heyman says he doesn't even like Sami Zayn that much. Even though we've heard in weeks back, Heyman has told Sami Zayn, I do like you. But now he's telling Roman Reigns, I don't really like Sami. You know, so, but the advice that he gives Roman Reigns is, it's probably better that we have Sami on our side right now than not. Because he could be a big problem if he's not on our side, especially if we're going up against KO. Because eventually, when Sami Zayn does get kicked out of the bloodline, eventually, right, he will be a big thorn in the bloodline side. It will probably be KO and Sami versus the Usos. So definitely when that time comes, the storytelling is going to be on another level. So you could see it's going to cause a lot of problems in the long run once Sami Zayn is no longer in the bloodline, because we all know where this is going. But for now, we're not at that point yet. We're not at that point in the story. So it's better for KO, or it's better for Roman to have Sami Zayn in the bloodline right now, no matter how many problems it causes, than out of the bloodline.
Special
Zayn, people. Into your ruthless consideration. Isn't it better from the perspective?
Can you believe this? Can you believe this guy? Can you believe this guy?
My tribal chief.
I've never liked Shmuley since day one. I've never liked Shmuley since day one. But I support...
Thank you. So... Exactly. Roman, you asked to see me? Yeah.
Look, it's no secret. I've got a temper. But that's why I put people in place, like the wise man.
And you see Paul Heyman perk up. He's like, yeah, you know, this is why I make the big bucks.
So that anger. But that's why I put people in place, like the wise man, to counsel that anger. Apparently, I wasn't hearing you. You just wanted communication, right? Clear communication. Want to be a part of the game plan, part of the team. You're a perfectionist. You're like me, actually.
Right.
You don't become the GOAT if you don't think of all the little details, and that's what you do, and that's why we get.
Roman calling himself the GOAT is funny because he's not the GOAT. Just saying, you know, that's the you can't see me, man. You know, but anyway, still, you see Sami like, yeah, you know, I just wanted communication. I wasn't trying to offend you. You're the tribal chief. I just, you know, wanted to be in on the plan a little bit. So Sami Zayn now, you know, sucking back up to Roman to get back in his good graces.
Along. That's why this works, right?
But also remember, you know, yeah, Sami Zayn is a perfectionist, right? He does always have a plan up his sleeve. Roman does too. So, you know, they're similar in that way.
Exactly. Thank you so much for understanding. I'm not gonna lie, I walked in here expecting the worst, but it means the world to hear you say that. Really.
It's on me. That's on me. Sometimes I just expect the same amount of love, respect, and loyalty that I give out, you know?
No, I mean, don't say that. Roman, don't say that. We all love you, man. We all love you. You're the tribal chief.
Yeah, there you go, right?
You're the head of the table. You're
Zayn
the one
sucking up to Roman. Like, this is a little bit cringy to me. Right? You know, I personally don't like seeing Zayn just sit there sucking up. Like, hey, you're the tribal chief. We all love you. Blah blah blah. You know, like we get it. Like, I don't need to see Zayn, you know, sucking up here to Roman like this.
During this whole ship, this is nothing without you. Look, I will always put what's best for the bloodline first. What is best for this family first. Anytime, anything.
Even though he's not actually part of the family, he never will be.
Please, just tell me, and I will do it. Okay?
Clear-cut communication here.
Yeah.
This is what I need you to do. I need you to find the Usos.
Okay.
I need you to make sure those SUVs are in place. I need you to call the pilots and make sure the jet is fueled up and it's ready to go. Me, Solo, and the Wise Man, we're going to go to the ring, we're going to sign the contract, and then let's get out of here.
It's done.
We good?
It's done. We're better than good. Really, thank you. Thank you so much.
I owe you one of those.
And then he gets the fist bump that Roman wouldn't give him at the beginning of the show. And then we had the last segment already, which we already talked about. And that is that. But yeah, like you said, you see the storyline continue here. Like I said, you know, things are getting a little more intense, right? Yes, you know, Roman and Sam have been able to kind of solve their problems peacefully the last couple of weeks, but eventually there's going to be a point where something will happen and Roman and Sami will not be able to come back to that, and it will impact Sammy's relationship with the bloodline permanently. We don't know what that is. Maybe that moment will come and take place at the Rumble. Maybe that happens at the Elimination Chamber, but eventually Sami will no longer be in the bloodline, and that's going to be the big moment for the storyline, whatever it is. And I think we all are excited for it. But either way, I'm enjoying this. You know, a very, very good SmackDown tonight. SmackDown Tag Team Tournament was great. I can't wait to see how that continues next week. And of course, the Roman and Sami Zayn story, and then Kevin Owens, of course. You know, all good stuff. And you know, next week should be a banger of a show. We know this will continue on both Raw and SmackDown, with the trial of Sami Zayn on Monday and on Friday, whatever they have planned for the go home show. So as we get closer to the Royal Rumble, things are heating up and getting very, very exciting. But let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. If you guys enjoyed the review, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell right next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Follow me down on social media. Links are in the description. Like I said, I will be back on Monday with a Raw review. And then, of course, hopefully I'll have a SmackDown review next week. But if not, of course, I will have a Royal Rumble review next weekend, either Saturday night or Sunday morning before the big championship games in the NFL. Other than that, that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys later. Peace.